Pastor Oluwaniyi-Asaaju has been doing it together without stress, focusing on supporting women, children, youth, and families in area of fear, anxiety, self-esteem, motivation, depression, mental health and mind, stigmatization, achieving in education, learning disability in children, poverty, parenting, empowerment, counseling, leadership training, prayer, support. Koforola Oluwatoyin-Asaaju Foundation celebrating our 50th birthday. The Jubilee celebration is coming up in August 31st, 2024. As usual, charity helps will be given to School for the Blind and other special needs facilities. KOA Foundation will be giving food items and resources to the people. All this will be done with the support of Sacred Heart and KOA Foundation. INT'L is owned by US, both here in UK and Nigeria. For more information, +44 7395 433648. KOA Foundation, wishing hope for women. Jọ̀bọ̀ lápá kò lè dáṣà mú kíọkíọ. Èyí ló mú KOA Foundation Koforola Oluwatoyin-Asaaju pẹ̀lú olùrànlọ́wọ́ rẹ̀ Pastor Oluwaniyi-Asaaju ní àfojúsùn nípa ríran àwọn obìnrin lọ́wọ́, àwọn èwe, àwọn ọ̀dọ́ àti ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìdílé lọ́wọ́ láyìíká pé kí wọ́n má fàyè gba ẹ̀rù, ìrònú àbájì láàyè. Ṣé ọrọ̀ ajé rẹ ò gbé pẹ́lí? Kí ló fẹ́ fi ìrònú dorí ara rẹ rú sí? Ìṣòro nípa ẹ̀kọ́, bí a ṣe ń tọ́jú àwọn àkàndá tí a sì ń kọ́ wọn ní ẹ̀kọ́ tí wọ́n fi ba ẹgbẹ́ pé lọ́jọ́ iwájú. Gbígbógun ti ìṣẹ́ òun òṣì, ìrónilágbára, gbígbani ní ìmọ̀ràn nípa bí a ṣe lè gbé ilé ayé, ẹ̀kọ́ láti di adarí rere lágbàáyé tí a sì ń kọ́ni bí a ti ń fi àdúrà yanjú àwọn ìṣòro tó bá kojú ẹni. KOA Foundation Koforola Oluwatoyin-Asaaju Foundation ti ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀, kò rẹ̀ wọ́n, kò sì ní rẹ̀ wọ́n nípa ní.
All right. Good evening, everybody. You are welcome to another segment of your program, which you have been waiting for. How is your mental health? How is your mental health? The feedback we have been getting from this program since we started about 3 weeks precisely has been phenomenal. And when I say phenomenal, we are impressed that people are actually viewing, people are participating, they are dropping their comments, they are calling us, and they are telling us that they are benefiting so much from the program, and that it's helping to educate, it's helping to, help them understand mental illness more, how to support persons going through mental challenges. And not only that, it's assisting to have both clinical knowledge, medical knowledge, and also signpost them to where they can get help and assistance, and also support people in their own family, people in their own network, people in their own cliche on how to understand mental illness, how to understand mental health as an area of health, and also how to reach out and how to speak up and how to combat the challenges of accessing both mental health advice, how to access professional help, and how to access support for both themselves and for people who are close to them. So in essence, the feedback we are getting is telling us that we're doing a great job, and that we are reaching the people that we want to reach, and also we are, helping the society to understand better what mental illness is all about. And also, we are educating people and creating awareness as where mental health is concerned. On behalf of KOA Foundation, I welcome you to today's edition of How is Your Mental Health? Last week, our guest on the show was slightly incapacitated due to her fluctuating network. Her network was seriously fluctuating right there in Nigeria. I guess maybe because of the weather. It was raining, and also because things were just not right. We're not getting it right in terms of the communication gadget. But today, hopefully, things are going to get better, and she's going to join us very soon. And she would be given an opportunity to pick up from where I stopped last week with regards to stigmatization, labeling, and being judgmental, how it affects mental illness, as in stigmatization and its effects on mental illness. A lot of feedback that we got actually gave us, it gave us hope, and it gave us courage that this is an area that people are very, very interested in. It's an area whereby people, it's an area where people are passionate about in mental illness, as in how people get stigmatized, labeled, and people are being judgmental. And because of this, a lot of people do not speak up. A lot of people find it difficult to access help, professional help, or even access support from close network or friends, because they are afraid, and they're afraid of being judged, and they're afraid of being laughed at or made fun of. And because of that, they seek deeper, into their mental illness, or they are just left alone, as in they feel lonely and they don't know where to turn to. But today on this our program, you would benefit a lot, you would gain a lot, and you will be given those necessary equipment which would help you and sustain you and give you courage to be able to seek help. And despite stigmatization, despite labeling, despite judgmental nature of people, we will equip you to be able to seek help and to talk about your mental state of mind, and be able to get support that you need. Before we bring in our guest, Princess Olajumoke, the area where I would be talking about today, and if you have been following us from the day we started the podcast about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we talked about different topics that we will be bringing to the awareness of our viewers. And also, we would be talking about different areas in mental wellness, which some of our viewers might want us to discuss and might want us to, do a bit of justice too. So for the next 6, 7, 8 minutes before we bring Princess into the studio, I would want to talk briefly about mental wellness in children. Mental wellness in children, especially now that globally, in almost all continents around the world, children are on recess and they are on holiday from formal education. Um, Here in UK, the holidays have just commenced. I know that in US they're about to round up, but children are still at home. I know parts of Europe, they're still on holiday. Some parts of Asia, some parts of South, North um, America, and China as well. But whether kids are on holiday in school or are back in formal education, mental wellness is very important to them. And most especially for those who are on holiday. And part of managing children's mental wellness is the issue of social media, mobile phones, iPads, um, what would you call it? Electronic gadgets, games like PS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever they are called. The use of iPad, electronic media, screen media, televisions, most especially the phone, especially the iPhone. For some reason, young children, especially teenager and our young adults, they always love to use the iPhone as against the Samsung. I don't know whether there's a feature in the iPhone that they particularly just enjoy. In this time of holiday, I just want to implore parents, whether your kids are on holiday now or whether the formal education is has commenced. Parents, please, please, please pay attention to your children's mental wellness. The damage that use of electronic media, use of telephones, communication gadgets, use of games, the damage is doing to children's mental wellness is alarming. And when I say alarming, I mean alarming. The screen time that they spend, as in the time they spend on the screen, the time they spend, perusing social media, the time they spend on various platforms like Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, some Facebook. A lot of young people that I know, they say they find Facebook really boring, that is for old people. But Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and quite a few platforms that these are young children get into. The time they spend on it is alarming, and it's quite dangerous to their mental health. You can imagine a child waking up in the morning and the first thing that they grab is their mobile phone. I'm guilty as well. We are all guilty. And we just have to educate one another and find, some balance, find a way around it, find how we can tackle this epidemic which has befallen us as parents. It's quite easy to control um, use of mobile phone or use of electronic media, iPads, television, radio, whatever, name it, communication gadgets and entertainment gadgets, when it's quite easy to control it, when your children are between the ages of, let's say, 0 to 13, before they become teenagers. It's very easy to take it away. It's very easy to use the law of positive reinforcement, the law of naughty corner, you know, doing a schedule for them, Monday to Friday, timetable, you know, when to eat, have breakfast, go to school, return from school, have a little nap, do your homework, for formal education, maybe do your chores at home, and then 1 or 2 hours on screen time and phone, and then prepare for bed, say your prayers, go to bed. Oh, it's fantastic routine when you have children between the ages of 0 and 13. Trust me, the teenage age is where the drama starts. When they begin to challenge you as the parent, and when they begin to tell you that, oh, mommy, daddy, I'm now a teenager. I and my husband, we normally put phone lock. We put timer on our children's phone. But guess what? They broke into it. Oh, yes. These teenagers are very, very, they are experts. Let me tell you. They know how to work things that you yourself don't even understand. They know how to try the code. When they broke it, we went to the manufacturers, the factory fitters, the owners of the phone, and we said, you know what? We want this parental lock. We want you to lock this thing so that their screen time is controlled. And they're like, oh, yeah, we can do that. They did it, only for me to discover that it was quite difficult, getting the attention of these children. And when they're teenagers, you hardly see them. They're always in their room. You have to physically go and bring them out, physically go and say, come and spend time with us in the living room. Don't talk, phones don't talk back. Let's have family time. Let's, talk to one another, do things together, because I enjoy doing things with my kids, and I enjoy taking them out. I enjoy being in their world. And I'm a nosy mom. And it's actually good to be a nosy mom. Because when you are a nosy mom, you won't miss things. Even without being nosy, they still hide things away from you. And then when you are now, when you are not nosy, you miss everything. Because right under your nose, a lot of things go on. So I'm the type that I will force you to be around me. I will force things out of you by the questions that I ask. You won't even know. And I will let you know that I'm the adult, you are the child. I would make sure, I use that God-given wisdom, the maturity that comes with growing up, to get to know you, and there would be no friction. You would just find out that you are buying to the supreme authority, which is the parent. Because if you are not careful, children are very quick to rope their parents around their, pinky finger. Their pinky finger. You find out that they will want to try to make you dance to their tune. And they will want to make you the child and they the parent. Though it's meant to be the other way around. You are the parent, they are the child. Never ever forget that. And yes, You can befriend your children, you can make them your friend. But in quotes, you are the parent, you are not their friend. It's important for you to know that. Your children are your children. You are the adult, you are the parent. Your children are not your friend in the bigger sense of it. God gave them to you to parent them to have better outcomes in life. But when you then lose that fine line, you lose that, responsibility by making them your friends. And where you're meant to be firm, you then become lax. Then, instead of parenting them, you are digging a big hole for yourself and for them in the bigger world, in the wider world, where they would need to face challenges all headlong, where they would need to be able to stand on their feet with structures that you have put in place with the help of God to support them in their adulthood. And if these structures are not there, that's where mental illness, mental challenges, mental health, mental health problems kick in. Because even without you putting structures in place, the global village, the world out there is a harsh place, ready to swallow them up. Even we as adults, we're still trying, with the help of God, to keep ourselves afloat in the harsh world. Now, young adults that are just evolving, teenagers that are just evolving, faced with a lot of identity crisis, not knowing where to balance up, some just starting their career, finishing university, some just about to go into university, some doing their college, some doing their A levels, some still in secondary school, battling, where do I belong? Where do I fit? Some going through a lot of bullying and harassment in schools. So now facing the global world, if they're not well equipped in all those various stages, if they have not been prepared by their parents and the society, it's going to affect their mental health. This is going to be another area, mental wellness and children. This is going to be another area where we're going to discuss more about next week. And as I said, today's program is divided into part A and part B. I have just broken the ice on mental wellness and children. And I will be bringing in Princess Olajumoke, who is the owner of Help for the Depressed Foundation. I read her citation last week. She's actually an accountant, if a lot of people don't know. She works as a director in the Ministry of Finance in Ondo State. But she's passionate about mental wellness. I've gone to her Facebook page and I see the wonderful, wonderful work she's doing with a lot of viewers who come in to actually ask questions. They follow her page to learn more about mental wellness. Join with me as I bring she's already in the studio, but join with me as I pass the baton on to her to educate us on stigmatization, labeling, and being judgmental, how it affects mental illness, as in stigmatization effect on mental illness. Welcome, Princess. The studio is yours.
Yeah, good evening, ma. Hello, viewers. I'm glad to be here.
We need some more
Thank you
volume.
So I'm glad.
Yes, we can hear you. The volume is better. Oh, I hope we're not losing Princess again. Oh dear. I hope we're not losing Princess again. And we really want to hear what she has to tell us today. We want to hear about her perception and her views and the great work she's been doing with people who are going through depression. She actually has a center, apart from having her foundation, Help for the Depressed. She has a center whereby she attends to their well being. She goes around her community, talking and educating people about seeking seeking help when you are passing through depression, what to watch for, what to, look signs to look out for, and how to battle it. So over to you, Princess.
Yeah, thank you, Ma. Yeah, I was actually trying to adjust the volume and then I pressed something.
The
So
volume is
I'm
fantastic
happy.
now.
I'm happy seeing people that are actually willing to lend a helping hand in this regard. What you are doing today, um, I must say that it's going a long way to help the people that are out there that need help. Over the years, I've seen it, with the statistics that we have, that too many people suffer health conditions. Like you just mentioned, I'm not a medical practitioner, but the passion for mental wellness is something that you cannot take away from me. In my sleeping, in my waking, I'm thinking of what I can do to increase awareness, what I can do to stop stigma. Now we're talking about stigmatization. Last week, I was trying to tell us that when we say stigmatization, it means that you are trying to call something an unpleasant name, something or someone, you call it unpleasant name, try to paint it in a way that it is not. That is what stigmatization is to me, the way I can put it in my own layman language. So around mental illness, stigmatization is just the major challenge, because you see that people, especially in this part of the world, in Africa, they don't have the understanding of what stigma, of what mental health is in the first place. And so easily stigmatize people. I have been able to draw a line that one of the reasons why we see a lot of stigmatization around mental health is because people are not well educated about mental health. It takes people that have the understanding of what mental illness is to be able to accept anyone with any mental health condition the way they are, and to be able to show compassion. Just this afternoon, I was discussing with someone about the fact that some people do not want to seek help. And the person was quick to say that if they don't want to seek help, then you leave them. But in mental health, it is not so. Because when you say somebody is having a mental health condition, it means that the person is not at his or her optimal level of performance. It means that the person cannot cope well in the community where he or she finds herself. It means that the person cannot take right decisions. Even the decision whether to seek help or not becomes difficult for that person to take. So sometimes it means that some people around them has to decide on their behalf before they can even seek help. Now, to now make matters worse in Africa, in a bid to seek help, if they go out, tell people about what they are passing through, the next thing is that people make jest of them. Why is it that you hear somebody has cancer, you show empathy, you show love? But when you hear that somebody has anxiety, somebody has depression, somebody has bipolar disorder, you make mockery of their situation. The only reason that I can see there is that ignorance is playing the ball. So for us to eradicate ignorance, we have to educate people the more, create awareness about mental health, arouse empathy in people so that they begin to look at people with mental health condition as people that really need help, people that should be shown love, people that should be taken the way they are. Just accept them first, show them love so that they can be able, to assess the right kind of treatment and improve on their well-being. Because if we don't take this first step of accepting them, then they don't have a safe place where they can find help. Somebody is afraid of, if I tell this person that I'm having this challenge, I don't know whether the next day I will hear the story in the market square. I don't know how the person will want to treat me. Like this year now, looking at the World Mental Health Day ahead of us in October 10th, well, it is talking about, mental health in the workplace. I would like us to know that when we are talking about stigmatization, these are some of the places where stigmatization becomes prominent. Someone is working in an organization and the person has a mental health condition. The management of the organization begins to seclude the person, begins to see the person as, oh, this one cannot fit in again. Here comes the stigma we are talking about. The moment that person notices that I'm treated differently from every other person, it worsens the situation. Even though the person is on medication, the effect of the medication will not be as much as it should be, because already the environmental factor is there that will not allow that such medication should work the way it should. When we're talking about stigmatization, I can also bring it to the family level. If you have a spouse that has mental health condition, and the only favor that you can do, or the only good thing you feel you can do, is to begin to call the person by names, begin to label the person, begin to tag the person, like in Yoruba parlance, in Koton share to the a spouse telling his or her spouse that will not allow the person to heal. Now, this stigmatization has eaten deep into the society in Africa, so much that people cannot go to facilities where mental health treatments could be obtained, because already people around have tagged those facilities as Ilewere. In English, that Ilewere that I just said is home of mad people. So when even people have conditions that ordinarily should take them to either a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever, they are afraid of approaching such places because they don't know who will see them and what next story will be around their names. It's easier in the developed world for anyone to access, help on mental health conditions because the governments have been able to put certain things in place to ensure that people with such conditions are protected and they were taken care of. But here in Africa, it's not yet so. I know that ordinarily, medications for people with mental health condition could either be taken over totally by governments or subsidized. Because when they are at their optimal level, they can contribute well to the society. I'm sitting before you today talking to you like this because at least I have my mental health intact. The moment anything happens to my mental health, it means that I might not be able to do what I am doing today. The same thing happens to Madam Asaaju. If she is not mentally well, she will not be able to handle what she's doing in KOA Foundation. Those of you that are watching us this evening, if you are not having, your mental health in order, it is either you're just watching and you are not assimilating well, or you're just managing to watch. That is what mental health is. Mental health is beyond whether I am sick, I am down or not. For anyone in life to be progressive, to be successful, you have to be fit. English says health is wealth, and there is no health without mental health. If you see somebody that has maybe an accident, either domestic, auto, whatever form of accident, as they are taking treatment for medical health, physical health now, they should be attended to on their mental health, because for any accident situation, there is likelihood of trauma. And when there is trauma, the result could manifest years after, and that person is out with one mental health condition or the other. The person is down due to what happened years back. So let's picture a situation whereby people have free access to mental health facilities. Such people can walk in there and say, oh, I was involved in an accident, and this is exactly how I feel when such happened. They can talk to a psychologist. They will interact, and that reduces, whatever they're passing through. And from there, they are attended to, and things get better for them. So a lot needs to be done to ensure that stigma is not around mental health conditions. Because the best thing you can do to anyone that has mental health conditions is to provide a conducive environment to heal. And this will not be ensured where stigmatization is in place. As a matter of fact, it should even be in the plan of government to put in place policies that will punish people that stigmatize those that are having mental health conditions. Our governments at all levels should begin to consider doing such. If you isolate people because they have mental health conditions, it means that you are reducing the gross domestic product of that nation. Whatever they are supposed to contribute to the national growth is no longer there. I'm bringing that in from the angle of economic activities. And again, it will also not be good enough if we leave the work to governments. We have religious organizations where people in Africa, they go to a lot. They believe so much in their religious leaders. They believe so much in whatever happens within their religious circle. So religious organizations should begin to create more room for awareness campaign on mental health, so that all of us together can work and reduce stigmatization. Stigmatization has, resulted in losing so many lives in the past because, one, they cannot speak out. They are afraid of what will become if they speak out. And if any of them summons courage to speak out, in this part of the world, people will still not stop at anything in ensuring that they bring them down. You see, even our celebrities, sometimes when they, especially those that are in the theater industry, when they produce some films, I begin to wonder why we are still where we are. There are some of their productions that reduces people with mental health condition, to a nobody. The way they depict them in their productions, I think that one too should be looked into. The people in the theater industry, they should begin to look at those films they produce, the effect on every segment of the society. Stigmatization. I'm still talking about stigmatization. And I would like to say this again, that stigmatization can be reduced if the school curriculum in this part of the world can include more topics on mental health. Let people begin to know about mental health even as they grow, even from the basic education level. I personally, as I'm speaking with you, I got to know about mental health in 2012. In 2012, that was when I got to know about mental health. I was well above 30 years of age before I knew about mental health. It shouldn't be so. I mean, as children grow and they get into school, they should begin to be taught, they should begin to teach them about mental health. It will help them to also guard their mental health, because it is only what you know about that you can work on. Unfortunately, in Africa, even when people have mental health conditions, we don't tend to give it the name it should be given. It is here in Africa, you hear people saying that somebody that has postpartum depression, that the person is mad. Yoruba people will say, "Abisiwin lo n se." Why call such people such names? They are not happy that they are the way they are. And if they are not happy, then we shouldn't contribute, to making their level of happiness to be depleting. We have to call it the right name. In the religious setting, when people, manifest symptoms of mental health condition, you begin to hear, she's possessed. He is possessed. That is stigmatization. And then in some churches, they begin to conduct deliverance on them, wire them with cane, make them go on fasting for days. Remember, mental health conditions on its own could make somebody, to have eating disorders. And now, the religious body is subjecting such a person to, compulsory fasting. It's quite, empathetic. I feel pain by the things that happen in Africa around mental health. And I know that the day to put an end to such activities draws closer as we sleep and wake on a daily basis. We can't continue like this. We must make the best of the opportunities that we have. We must make the best of the resources that God has given into our care. It is here in Africa that you see people suffering from mental health condition, and then they take their job away from them. The medications they need to fund, how do they get money? How do they get money to fund their medications? I don't know how many more minutes you want me to spend, ma, but I must say that the topic of stigmatization cannot be exhausted. It can be exhausted. But
Yes,
like the
Princess,
passion I have for it, I feel like talking about it every day. I feel like begging people. If I need to go on my knees for people, I feel like telling them that, please, let this stop. A lot of destinies have been wasted due to stigmatization. A lot of people that should be contributing positively to society, they couldn't. When someone has a mental health condition, of course, you can easily get out of it if you have the right treatment and the right set of people around you. Feel loved. Such people will come back to their normal selves again. So, in Africa, the enabling environment is not there, and it is quite painful. It makes me weep sometimes. But I know.
Honestly, Princess, I can let you continue to speak and speak and speak for the whole night, because as you were speaking, I was actually taking notes, and I was, I was going into, I wouldn't say going into my brain. I was trying to reflect on some of the things that you said and some of the things you mentioned. In this segment before we close for the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, we're just going to rub minds together, me and you, and people are free to drop their comments, which we can pick up in the comment section, and then just read or explain. While you were talking, you mentioned that you didn't get to understand or even hear about mental health or mental illness till 2012. That is very shocking. And it's shocking because, you're a very educated person. You work in government, either parastatal or ministry. And it's not as if maybe you are not well schooled. For you to be picking up and hearing about mental health or mental illness or wellness in 2012, when you are in your 30s, goes a long way to show that, to an extent, government is failing us in Nigeria. The education sector is failing us in Nigeria.
Exactly.
But if you are not hearing about it, and that also gives me a place to actually to tell you that until I came to United Kingdom I think I came here 21 years ago. Until I came to United Kingdom 21 years ago, and while settling down, trying to get myself together, trying to, fit into the system, educate myself more and stuff like that. You won't believe that my very, very first contact, with mental health, mental wellness, depression, and knowing about conditions like schizophrenia, bipolar, and things like that, was when I went back to university here in the United Kingdom in 2007. And I was in my mid-30s then. So what
your
happened?
story is similar to mine.
Yeah, so what happened when I was in primary school, in secondary school, in university, various universities in Nigeria where I went, because before I came to United Kingdom, I'd already embarked on educating myself and having 6 degrees in Nigeria in different universities and tertiary educations. So where was mental health missed by myself and in the curriculum which university gave to me? What are we saying? That means all the time I was in Nigeria in uni, That was not part of our curriculum.
It
And this
wasn't.
is where
It wasn't. Mm,
this is where mental, wellness in children comes in. When you don't
exactly.
educate them in primary school, in secondary school, and even catch them in university, where they are highly pressurized, trying to form their own identity,
Mm,
where there is peer pressure,
mm,
where there's a lot of things going on
mm,
neurologically
mm,
concerning them.
mm,
Now, how are we sure that without that formal education of mental health or
mm.
programs and health promotion
Yeah.
designed to support mental wellness in young adult teenagers and things? And we're expecting that in Africa, we want to have successful young adults without putting structures in place to support them. You mentioned it, that where there is no, where there is no mental wellness, there is no health at all.
Yes.
And I
There's no
actually
health
wrote
without
it
mental
down.
health. Mm.
Yeah, there's no health without mental health, because
Yeah.
it all starts,
Mm.
health actually all starts from mental health. Because
Exactly.
one man sọ wípé orí lọba ara,
Exactly.
and
You
when
can
the
afford
head
to
is
be
not
without your
well,
hand or your legs, but nobody
exactly,
can go without head.
no, you can't. When the head is not balanced,
Mm.
then how does every other faculty and system of the body, you know,
Mm.
how does it work? It's just interesting. And you are very, very right, Princess, that we have a long way to go in Nigeria. We have a long way to go in Africa. We have a long way to go, because I haven't heard, I don't know, because you are in Nigeria, I
Yeah.
haven't heard if there's any design in curriculum of primary school, in curriculum of you know secondary school or university, whereby there's some kind of course or
Mm.
some kind of um health promotion program which has mental wellness inherent in it. I don't know, you can educate us
Well,
further now.
to the best of my knowledge, it is not yet taken care of. And that's exactly what I was trying to mention. That at the level of basic education, because primary, secondary school, that's basic education. At that levels, a student, a pupil should begin to know that
Yes. Mm-hmm.
this is what mental health is, and that I can't function at my optimal except my mental health is intact.
Mm-hmm. And
And
they
that
also
would
need to know
instill in them the
signs to watch
consciousness
out
to
for.
protect it.
And they also need to know signs to watch out for. They
Yeah.
need to know what to watch out for,
Mm,
when they're in school. They
yeah.
need to know how to guide against things like that will affect their mental health, maybe bullying in school, how it can have effect on them, maybe when they are feeling low, unhappy,
Mm,
stressed,
mm.
how they can identify those signs and speak to their parents to say, Mommy, Daddy, I have something to talk to you about. Today I went to school and I wasn't feeling great myself. There was another student who is bullying me or making me to feel uncomfortable. So you can imagine. So if there are no structures in the curriculum that help children to prepare for this, then where do we go from here? Because for me, all my kids, I had them here in UK. And whether you like it or not, you will be forced to be an involved parent, because the school will not let you breathe. And they will even send text, they will send newsletter they'll send different things to you about what is called the PSHE day. It's called PSHE because it has physical, social, emotional health in children. And that is a program, that is it's a curriculum on its own. And they start it right from primary school. And it is through those that PSHE curriculum that they begin to disseminate information to children as they are growing up. And in that PSHE curriculum, there's very, very high health promotion on mental wellness. Just as we're saying that, the Mental Health World Day is on the 10th of October, right?
Yeah.
Here in the UK, it's a very, very big celebration. It's a very big program. It's celebrated in all schools, primary, secondary, university, workplace environment, to the point that we all have badges that we put on our clothes. Whether you work in the public sector or in the private sector or in healthcare, we have badges, like little pin badges that you can buy and wear that says Mental Health Day. We have programs on TV, we have programs on radio, speakers, the media covers it back to back. And at times it's even celebrated more than a day, whereby people just keep talking about it, World Mental Health Day, and the NHS National Health Service here, they roll out the drums. Programs, Zoom meetings, conferences. So it's not something that is missed. But what is our own country, my birth country, Nigeria, doing to catch them young? Because we're seeing a great increase in mental health issues, mental illness, mental breakdown in young people who are our tomorrow, young people in the workforce. Look at what you said, Princess. And I want you to just elaborate a little more on it before we go. When you are talking about there's a big gap in helping to identify people who are going through mental health challenges or illness in workplace. And then when they are finally identified, the level of discrimination these people suffer. And I heard you saying that a lot of them get kicked off their job stylishly.
Exactly.
They are stigmatized, they are bullied, and they are kicked off their jobs. And you then went further and you said, you asked yourself, you're kicking them out because you feel that they are mentally challenged or they cannot function. Now, if you stop their empowerment, their financial empowerment, which is their job, that brings them a source of income, are you not sinking them deeper into mental illness? Because the loss of their job will create another roller coaster. They always say, your job is your power. Your job is your job is your ego in a way.
Yeah.
And now you take that job from them. And I further heard you saying that without job, how can they access, professional help, treatment? How do you buy the medication? It's not like overseas, here, abroad, where these medicines are readily accessible because the government has designed, the structure of the country in a way whereby whether you're rich or you're poor, Medicare is accessible to all, especially here in United Kingdom. We are blessed, and we are more at an advantage because of the National Health Service, which we all are grateful for and we relish in. Now, these people back home in Nigeria, they are telling me that they get kicked off their jobs, they get stigmatized and bullied by their employers and just thrown into the garbage to say, oh, you're not useful to us. Your mental health is messed up, so we need to let you go. Please educate me more, because it's like I'm not getting it. I'm traumatized by what you have said that people are going through.
Thank you, ma'am. It led me to saying something the other time, that when I think about it, sometimes I feel like crying. I feel like beating myself. What do I do to stop this thing? It's as if I should just have that almighty power to be able to change the scenario, because it is quite devastating. Somebody is in a problem. The person cannot, fit in well into the society. And, the means of livelihood is now taken away. How do they cope? Now, let me first say this. The legal framework in Nigeria, that is laws in Nigeria, even starting from the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there are certain offices that the Constitution prescribes qualifications for people that will occupy such offices. Okay? Like in my profession now, there are offices that the Constitution prescribes who and who could be in that office. I can say like the Auditor General of the Federation, Auditor General of States, like that. In some other professions too, like that. But there is something that is common to all of these qualifications. When they start writing this, and then at some point they will say, it should be somebody that is not the following. And one of the things that they will mention is person of unsound mind.
Oh.
Boldly written,
it's
a thing that is emphasized.
I want to beg to laugh, and I beg to differ, because
honestly,
before we left, people like us left the shores of Nigeria to sojourn in the white man's land. And even though we are here in the white man's land, we are not novice about Nigeria, because we visit Nigeria, we read in the papers about Nigeria. We are blessed and privileged to know about some people occupying very high positions in Nigeria. And I stand to tell you that a lot of those things that are written in black and white in Constitution regarding maybe Attorney General or governor or head of service or minister or director and things like that, I think they need to tread softly, because some of these people, quite a few of us, and people around know them, know their lifestyle, know their history, know at times some of the things they've been through. I'm not going to break confidentiality, but I'm just going to, speak on a larger verbose ground without drawing attention. I am well aware of a governor in Nigeria who it's publicly known, and during his campaign he had to answer questions regarding his fitness of holding political office as governor of a state. And you know, my husband always tells me that if you do not want your dirty linen to be washed
Mm.
outside, don't go into politics, because
Exactly.
they will help you to bring out your past. They will
Mm.
help you to bring out the skeletons in your cupboard. That is what
Exactly.
Nigerian politics can do, or politics all over
Yes.
the world. They will
All over the
dig
world. Yeah.
into, yeah, they will dig into your past. They will dig into
Mm.
your present. If you are not careful, they will help you create your future and dig into it even before you get into that future. So as I'm saying, as you're rightly saying, and I'm buttressing, this governor not only suffered mental breakdown in his past,
Mm.
he was actually in a mental health institution. And it was after he recovered, in fact, he was still in the process of recovery and getting support, that he actually began to campaign. And this governor, he's doing his second term.
Mm.
And I'm surprised that such a governor is not pumping money into the area of mental wellness, because he himself
Now,
is a
thank you.
doctor. But they tend
Let
to
me quickly
forget.
cut in.
They
Let
forget.
me quickly cut in. Let me quickly cut in. You see, when life throws some things at us, the way we respond, the way we react differs. For some people, when they have a challenge and they come out of it, they feel, mo ti wà okay, mo ti gòkè
Yes,
afárá lè já.
every other person can
You
go
know, in
to,
our
you know,
Yoruba people's way of saying
yeah,
things, that after all, I've scaled through that hurdle, and that is all.
and it's
But
left for the next
for some
person.
people, yeah,
Hmm.
but for some people, when they are faced with such situations, they begin to think outside the box. They begin to consider other people. That what if somebody is in this shoe? How do they
Yeah.
come out? No, how do they feel if they face what I face? And so that's why
Hmm.
you see people like us coming out,
Mm-hmm.
saying, no, we can't afford to allow these things to be. We won't allow the status quo to remain.
You're
Because
really
I look
right.
at people,
You're right, princess. And it just brings
yeah,
me to what I and someone was talking about recently. You know,
yeah,
that it seems as if we, the average people, we, the middle class people, either financially, or we, the poor people in quote, that are
mm,
not the bourgeoisies, you know, the proletariats of the society, the business mogul, the billionaires, as they call it in Nigeria. It seems like
mm,
we are the ones that are passionate about ourselves. And the rich people in the society, the people that wield the power and authority, the people that are counting billions in terms of financial empowerment, they will not help us. The rich don't
because they
support
have
the
never
poor.
seen it from that angle of life.
The rich don't support the poor. They are happy to let the crumbs falling from their table, which they don't
Yeah.
need anymore. They're happy
Mm,
for them to let us access it. But to say that they will help us, they will support us in create awareness. When they have, oh yes, the rich people in the society all over the world, they go through the worst mental breakdown. But you know what? Because
mhm.
they have the money, the resources to come overseas to access the best in healthcare in any part of the world, you
Yes.
will not hear.
Mm,
And
mm,
what is the
mm.
fate of the poor man on the streets? The man that was maybe
Exactly.
or a security, with 7 children, 1 wife. What happens to those kind of people? Because
Or
mental
a poor
illness does
farmer,
not discriminate. It
not
doesn't
a
discriminate
mechanized farmer
whether
now, a poor
yeah,
farmer that
whether you
uses
are
his
rich or you are
hands
poor. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't choose you because you are
at
rich or
all.
you are poor. All our big people in Nigeria, the rich people can fly first class or a private jet and come and access, Medicare here. Pay
Yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds for
Mm.
medication, for treatment, for therapy. And then you grind the country to a halt, whereby the less privileged, the people in the society, those who are still struggling to feed, you don't provide structures for them to be able to access. I hear of Arrow in Abeokuta, and I've
Yeah.
been hearing this since I was a child, that there's a mental institution there. And I'm
Yeah.
in my 50s now. That is still the only place that people will mention when they say that, oh, someone who needs specialist psychiatric treatment.
Ani ara
That
aro
that
ni,
is where that is
ero
where they
aro
will
ni.
carry that person. So since
Mm.
for all these years, when my fathers and
Mm.
my great grandfathers were born, you mean that it's
Mm.
only still Arrow? There is nowhere else.
Yeah, thank
And
you,
here,
ma. Honestly,
here,
it is quite sad that we are where we are. God has endowed us a lot in this part of the world. Africans are blessed. We have we have the resources. That is the truth. If anyone is saying we don't have the resources, I will not be part of that. We have the resources, but we have only chosen not to be sensitive to the needs of the masses. When I say we now, I'm talking about the leadership. I mean, our leaders at every level. I mentioned government, I mentioned religious organizations, I mentioned schools, and so on and so forth. There are leaders in all of these stratas of the society. The leaders there, if they are really passionate about what happens to the masses, will not be where we are today.
Hmm,
I can tell you
hmm,
for free what the Orthodox churches did to Nigeria. If our own churches that sprang up from Nigeria had taken that same, toll,
yeah,
I mean, we should have mental health facilities,
hmm,
well-established ones that are religious owned.
yeah.
When we're
Because
growing up, you
I
see
remember
schools,
very well
Anglican
the
school,
Catholic,
Methodist school,
yeah,
LEA school,
Catholic,
DSA school, FAC
mm-hmm,
school, all those schools, Catholic
yeah,
schools, St. Kinikon, St. Louis, St. Like that. And then when it came to our turn in Africa, we start our own churches. We're not looking at the masses. I mean, I'm not saying, well, that the churches that they're not doing enough, but trust me, in this area of mental health, I have not seen enough that the churches are doing. All
so
thanks to
can we
some churches that have
mm,
lended me their platforms in the past. I've had programs in some churches. I've had programs, I have to organize even online, for members of some churches, thanks to those pastors that understand. But where I'm looking at is where the global body of such churches put in place structures that will enhance people's mental health. Do you know that people right in the church, they stigmatize members?
mm, mm,
I mean, it should be a family of love. Now, I mentioned about governments. The government has some facilities, like here in Ondo State, I know that we have psychiatric hospital. But like I told you earlier, it has been, code names. It has been, stigmatized. People cannot walk in there and access help. Who will fix it? It is still the government. I mean, the government, we have the National Orientation Agency. They can deploy that platform to begin to educate people. And apart from educating them, the government can place sanctions that if you are an employer of labor and somebody in your employ suffers mental health condition and you decide to lay such person off, then there will be sanction. Look at the governor you just mentioned. We don't know him by name. We don't want to even know. But let's assume somebody in a highly placed position like that had mental health challenge. The only saving grace was because he has resources to take care of himself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, to have been a governor for 2 times 8 years, he would have contributed in no small measure to the society. What happens if he doesn't have access to that mental health treatment? That is why some of us are pained. That man on the streets that we have labeled Oluwaniyi Junction Kinikon that we call names could have as well been the president of this country. He or she could have as well been a governor. Maybe the person could have been a professional accountant like myself. But for a missing link. I was discussing with somebody sometimes ago, and he shared with me how that his younger brother was almost out of school because of mental health condition until somebody had to trace him and somehow they located help. The guy was treated, he became fine, and today he's doing exploits in the medical profession in Nigeria.
Wow.
What would have happened?
He's a medical
if
doctor.
It was the other way. Yes,
wow.
In Nigeria today. And as a matter of fact, the guy has a foundation where he conducts surgery for people free of charge. You can see what would have gone down the drain if this guy was not taken care of.
Not available. It's
and I will also mention a condition, a particular scenario. There was a church program. A woman attended the program. She was having a mental health condition, and maybe because of the noise and whatever, she broke down. I can tell you for free. From that place, she was taken back home. The situation was not well managed, and she died.
Oh dear.
We have seen a lot in the course of this my 5 years of running Help for the Depressed Foundation. I've come in contact with so many, cases. I mean, there are days people will call me, hey, woman, it should be the duty of government. Where do I get resources to start picking people on the streets? But of course, since they know no one to call, they know that there's a woman that has a foundation. Let's call her. I'm talking about this happens frequently. Even here in Ondo State where I reside, it happens. People will just put a phone call. Please come to so-so junction. There's a woman that is already, going on, things like that. Between the time that the person started manifesting symptoms and the time that they finally broke down, something could have been done to salvage the situation.
Yes. That's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you that before this person became full-blown and had a complete mental breakdown, definitely there have been symptoms. There have been symptoms. What is that missing link? Is it that the people around that person does not understand signs and symptoms of mental breakdown? Or is it that they don't know where to take that person? And is it that there's a fine line between what we call, spiritual manifestation where the churches will say, oh, this is a demonic attack,
Like
and
I
not
mentioned earlier.
understanding mental illness and mental condition and, stress-induced psychosis. So there's so many questions. There's a puzzle there that we don't understand, that this person who's having this mental breakdown and has started showing signs and symptoms, the environment, the support, the network around that person, what is their understanding of mental health issues? What is their understanding of mental illness? What is their understanding of, how to access help, where to take this person to? And when they finally go to the hospitals or structures, tertiary, health centers around them, how are they treated? The people that they are meeting there, are they signposting them to the right place? Are they giving them the right, treatment? Are they saying, oh, before we touch you at all, you need to go and pay so X amount into, the account? Or we don't understand what is happening with this person, you need to take them away. Or, you need to bring so amount before we can, escalate or say that you have to see a doctor. But which kind of doctor are they even being signposted to see? Because it's a different scenario identifying specialists in mental health condition than taking them to a physician. Because I've seen a lot of people's treatment being messed up because they are not being seen by psychiatrists, specialists in mental health. They are just taking them to general practitioners. And then they start bombarding them with wrong medication, which might even lead to more problems. But even here, we are not even at that stage yet in Nigeria. It's the awareness. It's for each person in their little cliche, each person in each environment, in each family, because it is family units that end up becoming a community. It's community that end up, becoming, how do you call it, a nation or a state. So if in the little families that we have that make up the community, we are not educating ourselves, how then do those families then become communities whereby we can draw support from? Because in someone's house, and maybe a wife of a man, a woman who has 5 children and is married, she now suffers, maybe in the process of having the 6th child, or after having the 6th child, she suffers postnatal depression or postpartum trauma. And then, while she's suffering it, instead of the husband seeking medical help or psychiatric help through accessing the health center or the hospital, rushes the woman to church and then says that the enemies in his family are after his wife. I've seen somebody die in that process because that condition was not well managed. They were casting out witches, casting out demons. When actually that person was going through post-traumatic stress disorder after childbirth, postpartum stress disorder.
Yeah.
So in such a situation,
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
The missing
It
link,
is what it is.
number one, is education.
Education is very vital.
Education,
We all need
education.
to
I mean,
educate
you
ourselves.
know, I said something the last time. I said ignorance is what makes the cat to attack the rats.
Yes,
And
that's
the
true.
opposite of ignorance is education.
Education.
So if people are well educated about mental health, a lot of these issues will be reduced.
Hmm.
Because in the first place, somebody is manifesting symptoms of a mental health condition. People around do not know, and they begin to even fight the person. For example, somebody that has anxiety, and then people are complaining that kí ló tiẹ̀ máa ń ṣe gan. The people that should be the support system, they keep
get fed up
complaining about that person.
Instead of
I
showing
mean,
more love.
so I think the place of education cannot just be overemphasized.
Oh
We need to
yes. Oh
continue to
yes.
do this. What you are doing today, you are doing it, you are saving so many lives. You might not meet them, you might not know them. But I'm sure that even this program today will have liberated some people.
Mm.
You
Thank you
asked,
so much.
how come
Princess.
I didn't hear about mental health even until I was above 30? Yes, it is. I remember vividly this word depression. We used it to pray in church. You will say, oh yeah, pray against every depression, oppression. I will start praying. Man, when I got to know about it in 2012, and I was discussing it with a senior pastor in my church after that time, the man said, do they treat depression with drugs? I mean, even him, he doesn't know. And that same man would have been attending to people that were manifesting symptoms of depression.
I'm praying for them.
He will
Praying
be
for them and
casting
sending them away because of his lack of
demons.
education.
So we
You
can't
can't give what you
overemphasize.
don't have. So, Princess, in
Yes,
rounding
ma'am.
up,
Yeah.
what is the way forward
Thank
to
you, ma'am.
support ourselves as African, to support ourselves as Nigerians? Because whether you like it or not, I must tell you, in our communities here as Africans, as Nigerians, as Ghanaians, as whatever, South Africa, West Africa, East Africa, North Africa, Africans generally, but I can speak well about my Nigerian community and a bit of other West African countries because I do come across them and we do rub minds and do programs together. You know, this our culture of stigmatization, labeling, and being judgmental. We didn't leave it back in Nigeria. We actually brought it overseas again. And it is affecting us here as well in mental illness. But thank God and thank the government of United Kingdom for the deep-rooted, structures, for the deep-rooted education, curriculums that have been embedded in, educational institution with regards to assessing professional help, health promotions regarding mental illness and wellness. So there is no way, whatever we have brought from our African country, there's no way it's strong enough to impact those structures that have been put in place. So whatever we do in our little cliche, we succumb to the greater authority of what has been put in place. Well, our viewers, we have taken so much time tonight.
Yeah.
And this is a very, very important and educative aspect. We can all see that as Africans, as Nigerians, Ghanaians, name it, we all have a role to play where mental wellness is concerned, and eradicate this culture of stigmatizing people who are going through one sort of mental illness or the other. Nigeria, our own country, God's own country, our leaders at the top, our leaders, our Minister of Health, our directors in the health ministry, all those who are holding positions, our governors within the 36 states, our National Assembly, our state assembly, our local government. We need to rise up to the challenge. We need to do more. And we, the layman on the street, we, the middle class people, we're here to support you. We want to bring our expertise, what we have learnt, even by living in the developed countries where we are, what we have learned by working in the National Health Service, in the healthcare sector. We want to, rub minds. We want to support Nigeria and say that this is what we have seen them try in this country. Why don't you bring it here? Why don't you try these health promotion packages? Why don't we try, putting these structures around to support people, both in the state, in the local government, and see if we can break through. Because with what I'm hearing, we still have a long way to go. Thank you so much for joining us on this program. Thank you for the great work you're doing at Help for the Depressed. And definitely KOA Foundation is going to partner with you. We're going to support you. We're going to work together. And together we'll hit the ground running and approach our leaders more. And, bring the message of hope back to the layman on the street, onto the, the pepper seller in the market, the meat seller, people who are born with some form of learning disability or the other. We will tell them, don't worry, there is hope. You will not be stigmatized, you will not be labeled, you will not be judged for the ailment or for the illness that you are going through. Because everyone is made in a unique way. And we all go through stresses. And as Professor Salahu rightly mentioned 2 or 3 weeks ago, what did he say? He said we're all wired differently. Some suffer mental illness congenitally from birth. Some pick it along the line. Some, life just happens and they break down. But in all this, we should not judge people. We should support them, signpost them to where they can get help, help them to assess it, and also empower them within what they are going through to be able to have better outcomes and live a successful life. The story of that young man that you shared really touched me. From suffering mental health to almost leaving home and becoming, a miscreant on the streets. Now through the help and support he got, both from family, both from medical. He's now a medical doctor today with a foundation supporting other people. And that is why I said it. Together with, Princess, together with KOA Foundation and Help for the Depressed, and some of our other guests that will be coming to this program, we will be bringing people life experiences, people that have passed through mental health challenges, people that have been stigmatized as mad people, people that have been stigmatized as, being completely run down. We will bring them, and you will see cases of people that have recovered and are doing well and at the top of their career. They have become doctors, nurses, lawyers, accountants, architects, you name it. So mental illness is not a condition that cannot be beaten.
It's not a
It's
death
not a
sentence.
condition. Yes, it's not a death sentence. It's not a condition whereby you cannot get better.
Yeah.
It's just a situation. Some get better quicker than the other. And it's
Exactly.
because of the health they are able to access, the health care, the support, the love, and the kind of people who they are surrounded with. They do get better and they have better outcomes in life. Once again, I just want to thank the founder, the CEO of Help for the Depressed, our Princess Teniola Jumoke Olowolayemo. I want
you,
to
ma'am.
thank African Portal Studio for the great work you're doing, both in electronic, print, media broadcast, for giving us this platform today to do justice to this this concept, this podcast of how is your mental health. And next week is going to be loaded as well. We will be bringing another guest, and we'll be focusing more on the ice that I broke today, which had to do with mental wellness and children, especially because our children are on holidays right here in United Kingdom, in Nigeria. Some in the US are still on holiday. In various continents, some are about going back to school, some are back in school. So we're going to talk about the effect of social media, the effect of electronic, gadgets, games, and, screen time, the effect of it on the mental health of our children. It's very, very important we catch them young and also support parents in parenting. That is part of what we do at KOA Foundation. We place a lot of importance in parenting because even I myself, and I'm sure Princess as well, we are not excluded in this parenting matter. We learn till we die. We learn till we die. Parenting is like a notebook, brand new notebook. When you open it, there's nothing there. You learn as you go.
Yeah.
You learn as you go. And where we come from in Nigeria, wọ́n ní ìgbà ọwọ́ ló ń tọ́mọ. You are not the only person that can actually contribute to your child's upbringing. People out there will help you raise your child. And Nigeria is quick to judge. If I take my kids from UK and go back home on holidays and we go to the village and I'm kneeling down to say Eka Soma to the old woman in the village, and my children are saying hi. Trust me, before a twinkle of an eye, people around will be saying, hey, to àwọn ọmọ yìí ni.
Exactly.
So that is why we have to catch them young. Even though we're living abroad, we need to imbibe good upbringing, moral values in the life of our children. And that's why parenting is very important to us,
Very.
in KOA Foundation. Till we come your way next week, Sunday again. I know you have enjoyed this broadcast and podcast, a time to share, a time to talk about mental wellness, mental health issues, mental illnesses as it affects people. We'll keep talking about it until we know that our country is listening and it's playing its role, playing its importance and putting value on the life of people as regards mental wellness. I leave you with these words. Kindness is a language of love. Show kindness to someone today. It does not hurt. Say a little prayer for someone going through mental illness. Support them, signpost them, show them love and empathy. And together, while doing this, we'll make sure that mental wellness is achieved for one and for all. Thank you for being with
Thank
us
you.
on this podcast today. So we'll see you next week. Mental health is important. Look after your mental health. Thank you,
Yeah.
Princess. And
Thank
we will
you.
catch up
Thank you for
backstage
having me.
and during the course of the week. All right.
Thank you for
Bye for
listening,
now.
everyone.
Yes.
God bless.